Everyone said he stole Christmas. But what if the world broke him first? And Christmas was the only thing he tried to save. Before we get into the story, please subscribe to this channel because you mean the world to us. Now let's get back. Snow still fell on Everpine, but it fell without celebration. It settled on rooftops that held no wreaths, drifted past windows dark and unlit, and hushed streets where bells once sang. For 10 winters the village had lived like this, wrapped in cold memory, moving through December as if it were any other month. Children were warned not to ask questions. Adults learned not to remember. They whispered the reason anyway. They said Christmas had been stolen. They said a boy named David had taken it and vanished. Clara heard the name for the first time while walking home from the mill road, her boots crunching softly through the snow. She was small, curious, and far too young to accept silence as an answer. The wind nudged something at her feet, half buried near the old stone wall. She knelt and brushed away frost, revealing a glass ornament dulled by age yet glowing faintly from within. Etched into its surface was a single name. David. The light warmed her palms, gentle and steady, like a heartbeat. Clara frowned, then tucked the ornament into her coat and hurried home, the glow pressing against her ribs as if urging her forward. That evening, she placed the ornament on the kitchen table. Her mother's hand stilled mid-motion. Her father's chair scraped softly as he stood. "Where did you find that?" her mother asked, voice thin. "In the snow," Clara said. "Who is David?" The silence that followed felt heavier than winter. Her father turned toward the window. Her mother reached out and covered the ornament with a cloth, as though afraid it might hear. "Put it away," she said gently. "Some stories are better left asleep." But Clara could not let it sleep. The next day, she carried the ornament through the village square, asking the bakers, the weavers, the watchmen. Some shook their heads. Some pretended not to hear. Others crossed themselves and turned away. Only the old toymaker looked at her without fear. His shop smelled of pine shavings and dusted memories. Shelves of unfinished toys lined the walls, their eyes painted but empty. The toymaker leaned close, studying the faint glow through the cloth. "So," he murmured, "the light still remembers." Clara swallowed. "Who was David?" The old man sighed, long and tired. "He was a boy like any other. He laughed loud, hoped too much, and believed longer than most." "Did he steal Christmas?" Clara asked. The toymaker met her gaze. "No, child. He wasn't evil." He paused, voice softening. "He was just heartbroken." Outside, snow drifted silently through Everpine, and somewhere deep beneath the quiet, something long forgotten stirred, listening, waiting. That night, Clara lay awake, the ornament resting on her bedside table. Its glow did not brighten the room, yet it chased away her fear. She felt certain of one thing: whatever had been lost was not gone forever, and Everpine had simply forgotten how to listen. The snow outside seemed softer, as if the village breathed easier. 10 years earlier, Everpine had been bright enough to hurt your eyes. Snow glittered like scattered stars, bells rang from every rooftop, and children gathered in the square with mittened hands lifted to the sky. Christmas Eve was not a date then, but an arrival. Everyone felt it before they saw it, the hush, the warmth, the sense that something kind was drawing near. David stood among the other children, boots worn thin, coat mended more times than he could count. He tried to look calm, though his heart beat too fast. Every child knew what was coming. When the sky darkened just enough, light would fall like slow snow, and each child would receive a wish ornament, small, glowing glass shaped by the spirit of Christmas itself. It wasn't the wish that mattered most. It was the knowing that you had been seen. The air shimmered. Lights descended one by one, settling into eager hands. Laughter broke out as ornaments warmed to their owners, colors shifting with quiet magic. David watched closely, smiling when others did, nodding when bells chimed approval. The lights kept falling. They passed him. At first, David thought he had missed it. He looked down at his hands, then around his boots, then up again. More lights drifted past, finding other children. The space above him dimmed. The cold pressed in. Someone whispered his name. Someone else looked away. The last light touched the snow, and the sky went still. David stood alone with empty hands. The bells rang, but their sound felt distant now. His chest tightened, a sharp ache blooming where excitement had lived moments before. He waited for laughter to return, for someone to say there had been a mistake. No one did. An elder approached, voice careful. Sometimes wishes come later. David nodded, though he did not believe it. He stepped back from the square as families embraced, ornaments glowing against scarves and coats. The warmth around him felt borrowed, unreachable. That night, while the village celebrated, David climbed the bell tower. The steps were icy, his breath ragged. At the top, he stared out over Everpine, lights shimmering like a lie he had almost believed. "If Christmas forgot me," he shouted into the frozen air, "I'll make the world forget Christmas." His voice cracked. A tear slipped free and froze before it could fall, suspended between him and the sky. The bells above him trembled. The lights below flickered. Then, quietly, they went out. The warmth vanished. The glow drained from the ornaments in the square. Laughter turned to confusion, then silence. Snow fell harder, heavier. David sank to his knees, fear rushing in after the anger. He hadn't meant for it to happen like this. He reached out, as if he could pull the light back, but the cold had already taken hold. Christmas did not shatter. It disappeared. And with it, the boy who believed in it most. The forest began where the last lantern of Everpine failed to glow. Clara paused at the edge, breath steady despite the cold, the ornament warm against her chest. Trees leaned inward as if listening, their branches heavy with snow that never seemed to fall. The villagers said this place erased footsteps and returned only echoes, but Clara stepped forward anyway. The light from the ornament brightened, threading a narrow path between the trunks. With every step, the air changed. The wind carried half-remembered laughter, then sighs that sounded like names no one spoke anymore. Shadows shifted, not threatening, just watchful. A soft snort broke the silence. Clara turned to see a reindeer standing crookedly in the snow, one antler intact, the other broken clean near the base. Its eyes were calm, old. "You're late," the reindeer said. Clara stiffened. "I'm not supposed to be here, am I?" "Rarely does that stop the right ones," the reindeer replied. "What are you carrying?" She held out the ornament. The reindeer dipped its head, the light reflecting across its scarred antler. "So the wish still glows," it said. "He kept them safe, you know." "He?" Clara asked. "David." The name did not echo here. It settled. They walked together until the trees thinned and the forest darkened again. High above, wings brushed the air. A snow owl glided down, white as the ground it touched. "Lost steps find truer ground," the owl said. "But truth cuts deep where hope was bound." Clara frowned. "Do you only speak like that?" "Only when words must be remembered," the owl answered. The reindeer turned away. "You should hear this." The boy didn't steal Christmas to end it. He hid it. "Why?" Clara asked. "Because it was fading," the reindeer said. "Believe things when people stop sharing joy." He felt the cold first. They moved deeper. The forest changed around them, scenes flickering like broken glass, children opening empty hands, parents turning away, laughter dissolving into silence. Clara felt the ache of each memory, though none were hers. "This is where wishes come when they are forgotten," the owl said. They do not die. They wait. At the heart of the forest stood a clearing frozen smooth as glass. Light paused beneath the ice, dim but alive. He became the keeper of this place, the reindeer said softly. A guardian of lost joy. Clara knelt, pressing her palm to the ice. The ornament burned warm, brighter than before. Can he come back? She asked. The owl's eyes softened. Only if he remembers what he forgot. The forest fell quiet. No wind, no voices. Just the steady glow beneath the ice, answering Clara's heartbeat as she rose and followed the light onward. The ice palace rose without warning, its walls formed from layered frost and pale light, smooth yet fractured like a memory held too tightly. Clara stepped inside, her breath catching as the doors sealed behind her without sound. The ornament in her hand hummed, the glow steady, guiding her forward. At the center of the hall stood David. He was taller than the boy from the stories, his shoulders squared by years of solitude. Starlight flickered behind his eyes, trapped and restless. Frost crept along his sleeves, yet his hands were bare, trembling slightly as if unsure whether warmth still existed. You shouldn't be here, he said quietly. I came to listen, Clara replied. David laughed once, short and empty. The village forgot how. They forgot because they were afraid, she said. Afraid of losing it again. He turned away, the light within him flaring brighter. I tried to protect it. Every wish, every light. I held them where belief couldn't fade. And did it work? Clara asked. David's silence was answer enough. He knelt and pressed his palm to the ice floor. Light stirred beneath, faint shapes swirling like fireflies caught in sleep. The more I held on, he whispered, the colder it became. Clara stepped closer and placed her ornament beside his hand. The hum grew louder, the glow deepening until the ice began to crack, hairline fractures spreading outward. Christmas isn't a thing to keep, she said. It's something to share. David closed his eyes. The palace shuddered as the light surged upward, swirling around them, brushing their faces with warmth. Frost melted where it touched him, water pulling at his knees. I was afraid, he said. Afraid if I let go, it would disappear forever. Clara shook her head. It only disappears when no one gives it away. The light flared once more, brighter than before, then settled gently into David's chest. The starlight in his eyes softened, no longer trapped. He stood slowly, as if relearning how. The palace walls thinned, their edges blurring into falling snow. David looked at Clara, wonder and regret mingling in his gaze. Will they forgive me? He asked. They've been waiting, she said. The ice beneath them melted completely, releasing the last of the hidden light, and together they stepped forward as the palace dissolved into morning. Morning reached Everpine softly, like a hand brushing frost from glass. The bells rang once, unsure of themselves, then again, stronger, their sound rolling through the streets and into waking homes. Windows brightened. Doors opened. Villagers stepped outside, stunned, as light returned to places long left dim. Snow fell, but it sang now, a gentle hum threading through the air. Ornaments shimmered back into being, resting on windowsills and branches as if they had never left. Children laughed, surprised by the sound of their own joy. David walked into the square beside Clara, the light within him no longer burning, but warm and steady. Faces turned. Some villagers gasped. Others whispered his name, not with fear, but recognition. The old toymaker stepped forward first. He held out a small glass ornament, newly made, its surface clear and uncarved. David accepted it with careful hands. For everyone, the toymaker said. David nodded. He crossed to the great tree at the center of the square, its branches bare for a decade. As he placed the ornament at the top, light flowed outward, filling the tree, then the village, then the sky itself. A single snowflake drifted down and landed on Clara's hand. It was warm. The villagers gathered, not waiting for gifts, but for each other. Laughter rose, shared and unguarded. David stepped back, watching as joy moved freely again, no longer needing protection. That night, stars shone brighter over Everpine. Children whispered wishes upward, not for what they might receive, but for the courage to give. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. See you in the next story.